is that pirates do not keep parrots as pets. I know, it's very sad. And we do get a lot of questions from kids about what pets pirates do keep. But they don't keep parrots because they just don't have time to look after pets, really, during all their swashbuckling adventures. But they do steal parrots and sell them on because that's how they get a lot of their gold. So I hope that you enjoyed those few pirate facts, and welcome. We're going to get started now.
Hi everyone, you're very welcome to our first ever virtual teachers training session. So today we're just going to introduce all the new virtual education offerings that we have here at EPIC, the Irish Immigration Museum. So to start off with, I'm just going to introduce you to the education team here. So my name is Finola. I am the Education Sales Executive here at EPIC and also at the Jeannie Johnson Famine-ship. And my colleague who's just given you some great fun facts on pirates is Shannon. Shannon is our Education and Outreach Manager. So she also is in charge of both EPIC and the Jeannie Johnson Famine-ship. Today we're going to mainly focus just on EPIC's aspects of virtual learning. Just with Jeannie, it's a little bit different. So today it's going to be a little bit more focus on EPIC. Just to say to you, throughout the session, the chat feature is available. So if you have any questions at all, do feel free to pop them into the chat feature. Myself and Shannon will be monitoring it throughout, but also at the end of the session, we'll have a full Q&A session through the chat feature. So even if you want to hold on to your questions until the end.
And if you could make sure when you're writing in your questions to do it to everyone, so that way I can see the questions as well. Otherwise it will just go privately to Finola and I won't be able to answer them while she's speaking.
Just also to let you know, guys, this session is being recorded, so just for our own personal use, it won't be used for any other reasons other than that. So just going to start off by introducing you a little bit of what EPIC is. So EPIC is the Irish Immigration Museum, and we are located in the CHQ building, which is the Custom House Quay in Dublin's Docklands. We are the world's first fully digital museum, which is quite unusual, and it's something that definitely in COVID times we've had to kind of update and alter, because our museum is very much designed with the whole idea of touchscreen technology and interactive quizzes, but we've made a lot of upgrades since kind of COVID has hit to make it really super safe for groups and students and everybody that's coming into the museum. So now when you visit EPIC, you get to use a sterilized stylus pen to use all our touchscreen technology, and we do have staff members downstairs that are able to help with everyone as they go through. The basic story of EPIC, and it's a great story, is looking at the story of Irish immigration and Irish history. So we look at about 1,500 years of Irish history, looking at why people left Ireland, where they ended up and what they achieved. So one of the great facts in the museum is that about 70 million people can claim Irish ancestry abroad, and we really want to show people why that is, and we look at all different aspects of why people left Ireland. So while we do focus of course on the famine, we will also focus on other aspects of why people left, so looking at entrepreneurs who left, healthcare workers who left, teachers who left as well. So there's a lot of elements as to what we look at. The other aspects then with EPIC is, EPIC very luckily in 2019 was voted Europe's leading tourist attraction. Quite an achievement for us given that we've only been open since 2016, so only 3 years in, and we were very blessed to win this award. We're actually up for it in 2020. Voting is still open if anyone wants to vote for us, but it's just a kind of nice recognition for EPIC and what we do here. So with EPIC, as I say, while it is very much a historical story, it is a fun interactive experience for groups visiting as well. What I'm going to talk to you now about is what we're kind of doing going into the 2020-2021 academic year. We've obviously, like any attraction or any place in the country, has had to make huge changes due to the kind of new restrictions that we face. So that's why we have decided to go virtual with a lot of our experiences. Now, all of our experiences are still available on site as well, with slight restrictions on them, but we also will offer everything virtually for anyone who can't get to visit the museum this year. So starting off with, the first thing we're launching is our Teachers Club. So our virtual Teachers Club is a special area dedicated to teachers on our website that will offer them loads of special kind of rewards and programs that they can engage with. Some of the stuff that will be on offer for teachers in that section will be exclusive resource packs. So we have done a number of resource packs over the lockdown, but we have now created new additional ones that will be exclusive for teachers to use. focusing on different aspects of the museum. We will also be doing more of these virtual training sessions. So looking at training teachers how to use our history at home packs. So we created a series of 4 history at home packs. One that would be very useful for schools looks at the famine. So we will have exclusive training sessions for teachers to show them how to actually use that pack in the school as well. We will also be offering special offers on visits and on workshops. And then also as part of it, we will be giving all teachers complimentary tickets to both EPIC, the Jeannie Johnson Famileship, and the Irish Family History Centre, which is our genealogy centre based here at EPIC. So if anybody is interested in that aspect, all you need to do is join this club and you'll get the free tickets to visit them and experience what it's really like. We always find particularly for if you're bringing a school group, you want to know what the experience is like before you get here, and that's why we want you to come and visit and experience it with your family. There will also be exclusive competitions, special events, so more special teacher days, and we will also have a series of education e-zines that go out regularly. They will usually go out kind of every month, every 2 months, and they will have different teams and different resource packs within them as well. Another aspect that we've introduced just due to feedback we've gotten from teachers over the last couple of months is lesson guides. So if you plan to use one of our resource packs in your classroom, we will have lesson guides that you can use to actually help you along in developing the program based on these packs. We already created them with our virtual tour experience that Shannon is going to discuss a little bit later on with you. So it'll give you an idea of what they are. And we'll also, of course, be offering any teachers that visit with a friend some guest discounts as well, so they get to experience it. Our Teachers Club will launch in the next couple of weeks on our website. So all you need to do to join is just simply go to our website and just pop in your email address. It's all you need to join our Teachers Club. But we do plan on developing it, and it will become bigger and better as the years go on. So hopefully everyone will get something out of it. So I'm going to talk to you just about some of the virtual programs we're launching this year. And the first one I'm going to talk to you about is our TY program. So it's our TY Museum Maker program. This particular program has kind of been a couple of years in the making for us here at EPIC. It's something we've always wanted to do, and we find this is the perfect time to do it. This particular program will be a 5-session experience, and it will teach transition year students how to design, create, and run their own museum. So basically taking the expertise that we have here at EPIC and teaching students how you actually run one of the world's leading tourist attractions. So each session will be dedicated to a different element. So we'll look at curation, basically what's your theme, why you've chosen that particular theme for your museum. We'll also look at designing a virtual museum using one of our workshops, our Tech Exhibit workshop, which students use to code and design their own virtual museum. We'll also look at the operations point of view. I mean, how do you run a museum? Is it as simple as just turning up one day and it's open? What elements you need? We'll also look at sales and marketing, how you sell your museum, which is probably an unusual aspect to look at when it comes to museums, but here at EPIC, it's a big thing for us. And then the final session will offer students the opportunity to present their museum to the team here at EPIC. So we'll be able to see the museum that they have created. With this program, it's up to the students how they want to present their museum. They want to write a story about their museum, they can. They want to paint a picture, they can. If they want to do it all virtually, stop motion videos, they can do whatever they want. So it just gives them an opportunity to get really creative over a series of weeks. This particular program can be done completely virtual if you would like, or you can use one session to actually come on site. So we recommend if you're coming on site, it would be the session to learn about the themes of museums and why you would pick a certain theme. So they'll get a guided tour through the museum and they'll be able to kind of see why EPIC went with the story it went with. So that's just one of our new programs that we've launched. Another new program that we're launching this year is virtual webinars and lectures. So these will be a 1-hour session delivered through Zoom, and they will be on a range of set topics that you can choose from. So particular topics we're going to be looking at are Irish immigration, the Great Famine, women's history, museum operations, and then museum sales and marketing. So if there is a particular subject that you're teaching that you want your students to learn a little bit more on, and unfortunately they're not able to visit the museum, this is the option for them. The hour-long session will be a member of the EPIC team, zooming into the classroom basically, or wherever your students are, and we will talk to them for about 45 minutes on the topic, and then we will leave about 15 minutes for any Q&A sessions they may have. All of these programs will of course have follow-up with any of our team here at EPIC. So if you have any additional questions on it, you can just contact us. The other programs that we are launching this year is also virtual workshops. So we have for the last number of years done a range of workshops on site here at the museum. And just due to restrictions at the moment, this program is going to go virtual. Some of the workshops that we will be launching are our Emigrant Suitcase Workshop. This particular workshop, it looks at kind of curriculum related characters that are located in the museum and kind of tells their stories in a very hands-on way. Shannon will be doing a kind of quick run through of that workshop for you in a couple of minutes, so you get to experience how it will be done virtually. We also have our Tech Exhibit workshop, which I mentioned briefly in our Museum Maker program. This particular program is it's a coding program, so it's linking in all the STEM subjects for students. And in this, they design and create their own virtual museum, kind of designing their own little virtual epic is basically what we are teaching the students. We also have our Women's History workshops. This particular workshop was launched last year in conjunction with our Blazing a Trail exhibition that we had here on site, and also the Her Story TV show that we worked in conjunction with RTE on. We have two different aspects of this particular workshop. One is an illustration workshop and one is a poster making workshop. So it's of a very creative aspect, and each workshop is kind of themed around either the Blazing a Trail exhibition or the actual women's history characters that are located in EPIC. Another big program that we're launching for the first time for schools in this year is going to be our Tiny Tots program. Now, our Tiny Tots program was introduced in EPIC a couple of years ago for very little kids that want to visit our museum, so 3 and under. But this year we are launching it for junior, senior infants and first class students as well. We found that in our last number of weeks we've done it with families, and we feel it's a great aspect for young students to learn all different aspects. We will focus on different characters, and you can pick which session you are most interested in taking part. Today you're going to get a sneak preview of our Pirates section, which is probably one of our most popular ones here at EPIC. And lastly, from me, we're also going to be launching a new kind of webinar workshop by our historian in residence, Morris Casey, which is called Become a Historian. So Morris is going to be talking to the students about his life as a historian, all his amazing fun stories, being a real life Indiana Jones. And basically he's going to talk to the students and have a little workshop with them on how you become a historian, what aspects you need, like what kind of things do you need to be a historian. So these are just some of the new aspects of workshops that we'll be launching here at EPIC in the coming months. And also, as I say, all of these will be available on site as well as virtually. Right now, though, I'm going to hand you over to Shannon, who is, as I say, our Education and Outreach Manager, and she's going to give you a quick snippet of some of the workshops that we'll be launching here.
So first, I'm just going to run through some teacher-led content. So this is content that you can access straight away right now in your classrooms that's all available for free on our website. So the first one that I want to show you is our virtual school tour. So we've always kind of been, we're a digital museum. We've always been very passionate about making sure our museum can be shared and not sort of constricted to the on-site. So we made a virtual reality tour that was available to the public on our website for free. So this kind of virtual school tour combines the virtual reality tour with a school tour guidebook and school tour worksheets. With blended learning, school tours are becoming something that is really difficult to replicate at home. It's difficult to get students to enthusiastically engage in something that's self-guided without proper direction, or in this case, the sort of tour guide element that you would expect when you come to a museum. It's also difficult to replicate the same levels of excitement, freedom, fun, and teamwork that students get when they leave the classroom behind for the hands-on, practical, and immersive school tour experience. Therefore, this is what we came up with as a way to sort of fill that gap and enable you to still get this experience. students. While we realize like an online tour will never be exactly the same thing as a real life visit, we've released these 2 packs to accompany it that help you get as close as possible in your classroom. So the first of these packs are the worksheets, and these are designed to be filled in directly by the students. What we felt was probably most lacking in terms of a virtual tour experience in comparison to a real life one was that sort of sense of sensory immersion that we get in an in-person environment. So in the worksheets, we've really tried to recapture this by combining sort of fun trivia tasks with sensory prompts, things to look out for, things to listen to, characters to meet, discussion prompts, and also sort of inventive, creative, and imaginative tasks for students to do, such as designing an invention or rewriting a tale as an ancient Shannon, different things like that. And they all combine together to recapture the experience of a school tour. Not only that, but we realized, you know, it is quite difficult. It's a new thing for a lot of you as well. So we released a how-to guide specifically for teachers. So you can step into the position of the tour guide with ease. It's sort of packed with hints, tips, tricks, and different things to help you and your students navigate everything. So from literally going onto the website, what you need to do to access the tour. It also contains sort of prompts and ideas to help you tailor the tour to your particular class group. Particularly, we talk over the things most difficult to recapture in a school or home environment, such as ways to build in sort of teamwork tasks and competitiveness and to keep the engagement there. So even if your students are apart, hopefully you will still be able to recapture that amazing school tour experience in your classroom or at home. The next thing I just want to discuss with you is our resource packs. And these are packs that basically when lockdown first began, we were acutely aware that parents and teachers were scrambling to pivot towards a home learning model and a digital online model. And we wanted to do whatever we could to help as well. So we began to produce a range of history at home packs designed to help bring our museum to classrooms and homes around the country and around the world by engaging students in a fascinating curriculum relevant subject area through an Irish immigration lens. So we began with the Easter Rising, and so far we have added explorers, computer science, and the famine to that list, and we have plans for a Halloween pack and a Christmas pack later on this year. So to quickly bring you through these packs and how they might be of use to you in the classroom, the packs consist of an historical overview of a subject such as computer science or exploration, combined with a focus on an Irish immigrant that we feature here in EPIC, such as Ernest Shackleton, Easter Rising leader Roger Casement, computer programmer Kay McNulty, Great Famine immigrants such as Thomas Quinn. And this information is presented in, as you can see from the pictures, sort of bite-sized, illustrative, colorful, easy to digest format that kids really, really love. But these resource packs aren't your usual textbooks. They're very interactive. So we have things like trivia quizzes, word searches, research questions. But most importantly, what was very important to us is we didn't want to replicate what had already been done. We wanted to put in very unusual, inventive, interactive tasks for kids to do wherever they are. So what we did is think of things like that kids could do no matter what they have at home with them. So unplugged coding. So we were like, because having a computer, a lot of children are stuck in houses where their family might be working from home, they might be using all the computers, so you might have this pack, but they may not have a way to actually engage with coding. So we decided to do all the activities based around unplugged coding and using things such as emojis and things that kids really relate to and respond to. And things, really unusual things, so the Easter Rising, we looked at an Easter Rising cake dance. So it's getting that Irish history in, but getting a really fun element to it. The great thing is most of this content can be used in your classroom with little to no tweaking. There's a couple of things that would probably need a little bit of tweaking, but the unplugged coding, for instance, could definitely be used in a classroom with just a pen and some paper to take part. And what we're going to do is we are going to do, as Finola said earlier, some more sessions on looking at particular versions of these packs. And not just our packs, but taking general packs off any website on the internet and looking at how to adapt the tasks to your classroom, how you can change and how you can come up with ideas that are a little bit different, a little bit innovative, that can help your children engage with a tried and tested subject that they've heard so much about in a new, innovative way. So if you sign up to our Teachers Club, we will be running those sessions later in the year. So now I'm going to go through some of the facilitator-led content that we have. And these are the workshops that Finola was telling you all about. Because you can think, how exactly does this work in the classroom? How is it going to work with students all together? Or you may be in a situation where you have students at home as well logging in remotely. Well, firstly, our workshops are designed to help tackle student well-being, safety, and uncertainty. Here at EPIC, both you and your students' well-being is of the utmost importance to us. We know how difficult it's been this last while, and this works across multiple levels. We want you to feel safe, and while we do have the capacity and all the safety measures in place to have on-site tours and visits, we know everything at the moment is subject to change at last minute, and this uncertainty, coupled with the lack of a one-size-fits-all approach, means that you may feel sort of unsure and unsafe coming into different areas, and that's why we think blended learning will be really, really important this year. So we want to help you as much as possible through offering these workshops. We want you to be able to avail of the very best no matter where you are as well, and this is something that was very important to us and that we come up against time and time and again. While there is restrictions, obviously, you know, we need an internet connection, we need access to Zoom to be able to do these workshops, but it is enabling us and you to be able to access content that you possibly couldn't before if you're down the south of the country and you can't get up to Dublin because you're restricted by bus times and by driving times and money and different things. So you just want to make sure that you can access the very best no matter where you are. We also want to enable you to continue to avail of the school tour experience despite these restrictions that are upon us. It's a vital aspect of not only the school year, but your students' mental health and well-being. It's a chance for students to get hands-on with history in a way that they just don't get the chance to do in the classroom, developing skills such as teamwork, networking as well, meeting people from different businesses, learning about careers, and a chance to be very creative. So our workshops are designed to deliver all of this just via a different format. And how can we guarantee this? Well, basically, our workshops content has not changed. We have not altered anything that we were doing before. What we have done is just changed the format of delivery, just tweaked that, but everything else is exactly the same. And all of our workshops, bar the tech exhibit one where you do need a laptop to be able to learn how to code, all of the rest of them use very simple materials. So it's just pens and paper in the classroom, meaning that you can get the school tour experience no matter where you are, no matter what sort of budget your class has. And also, a very, very important consideration is getting students to engage with their environment afresh. You know yourselves, students may be stuck at home or in the classroom for the next God knows how long. And we want to make sure that, you know, it can become quite a difficult experience for them. They can become bored, they can become frustrated, they can become stressed. And we think this is a fantastic way to be able to enable them to look at their environment afresh, because a lot of the activities that we do actually does involve them looking around and engaging with their environment and noticing things that they may not have noticed before, because we can be looking at something every day but we just don't see it properly, we take it for granted. So a lot of the exercises that we try to work in do involve looking around and noticing things, and you'll notice that we'll do some of that in the tiny tots as well. So how do the workshops actually work? Well, at the point of booking, you'll be informed what your class will need to complete the workshop, and you'll receive any extra material. So these are things like handouts that you will be sent, either to print out yourselves, or if you need them sent to you in the post, we can organize that as well. We just need enough lead-in time to the workshop to be able to get everything to you. And similar to the setup today, there's two of us in a room together on site, and you'll always have two people facilitating the workshop. We would call them the facilitator and the moderator. So more than likely it would be me or one of the visitor experience team that are trained in delivering these workshops, and we'll lead the workshop whilst the moderator hosts the workshop. They are the one who manages the tech, the chat, and all that side of things. And both of these staff members have a wealth of experience in facilitating these workshops. So myself and Finola have spent, like we said, the last few weeks over the summer doing a lot of summer camps. So we know the sort of difficulties and challenges that arise when delivering these workshops, and we have adapted our format to be able to cater for them. Also, then you guess where you came from. It's content that blends history, STEM, creativity in innovative, engaging ways. The main thing that we didn't want to lose out on in a virtual environment was that interactive element. And that's something we have really focused on retaining. So in terms of a classroom environment, what we might be asking you to do is give us the first names of your students so that we will be able to call them out and ask them to complete certain tasks, ask them to maybe read out a line or two. So it is very interactive experience. And we have noticed ourselves from doing the summer camps, what we usually ask with a public workshop is that the parents change the name on the screen to their child's name, and in that way what we do is we ask the children to hold up their tasks so that we can see them, and we engage with them on a one-on-one level that way, and you just do see their faces light up. You know, we were surprised ourselves in terms of trialing these workshops 2 months ago now, that we were wondering about how kids would engage online. But the fact is, actually, they're digital natives. They're very used to doing this sort of thing, probably much more used to it than we are. And you do actually get that level of engagement that you get in an in-person environment. They are typing into the chat, they are responding to everything, they're holding up their pictures, they're doing everything that's asked of them. And when I mention their names, their faces light up. They love it. So we are able to keep that sort of level of engagement in a virtual environment. So that's what you can sort of expect in the workshops. So we're going to show you now a little tiny bit of what it's like to do the workshops. Obviously, I can't replicate it exactly because a lot of it, like I said, does depend on interaction. So it shapes the workshop. But what I will do is kind of give you a little snippet of Tiny Tots. And like Finola was saying earlier, these are sort of 40, 45-minute long workshops that focus on a different character, and the person facilitating the workshop will be the character from the museum. So when I was doing this workshop earlier this month, I was Anne Bonny, the pirate, the Irish pirate who was in the Caribbean, and I was dressed appropriately for that. And the way it works is that I tell an interactive story, and I would hold up different sheets and things for the kids to be able to see, and then we would complete tasks together that way. So I'm just going to give you a little snippet. Now these are out of order, so it won't make exact sense the way that I'm doing it. I've just taken out 3 different tasks so that you can see what it's like. Hello and welcome to EPIC, the Irish Immigration Museum, and our new virtual Tiny Tots storytelling experience. Usually we meet in person, but we can't do that at the moment. Instead, we're going to be going on an adventure using just our imaginations. We'll cross the 7 seas, scouting for adventures and buried treasure. And over the next half an hour, I'll need your help to bring our story to life. Have you got some paper and crayons at the ready? Fantastic! We're all ready to go. So you might be wondering, who am I? Well, hello there. My name is Anne Cormack, but my friends, like you, call me Anne Bonny. What are your names? Do you want to tell me? Go ahead. I'm listening. Oh, wow. We have so many wonderful people here with us today. Thank you so much for joining me on this watery adventure. Now, my hearties, we're off to sea to find our buried treasure. What's that in the distance that I see? Oh no, it's another ship. Is it friend or foe? Who could it be? Oh, phew. Don't worry, it's our friends, the Vikings. Did you know that there's a very, very long history of people exploring at sea? One of the early ancestors of us pirates are Vikings. Can you help me spot the difference between Vikings and pirates, I wonder? Shall we have a go? The first difference is very obvious. The Vikings are in a very different kind of boat to us. Can you see the boat? Wow, it's very different, isn't it? It's a long boat with a very big mast. Can you see it? Isn't it wonderful? Now let's look at the Vikings themselves. Here's a picture of a Viking. Can you see that we wear very different kinds of clothing to Vikings? What are the differences? Well, the first one, let's look at the head. The Vikings are wearing a helmet, aren't they? And it's a helmet that has horns on the side of it. And the helmet seems to be made of metal. Whereas us pirates, we wear hats made of leather, don't we? And they're a tricorn hat. What else is different about what the Viking is wearing? Let's see. Well, he's holding something in his hand, isn't he? What is that? Does anyone know? Well, this is a weapon, and it is called an axe. So this axe is very different to the weapons us pirates use, isn't it? What do we use? Do you know the names? That's right. We use swords. Well done. You really know your stuff. Lastly, we're friends with Vikings for a very good reason. Vikings, whilst they pillage, they usually go after land, don't they? So they go across the sea in their longboats, and then they take over the land. Whereas us pirates, we don't care about the land. We only care about pillaging and looting other ships. So we have no quarrels here. Goodbye, Vikings. See you next time. Bye. Let's wave goodbye to the Vikings. Bye. So we're back on our adventure. Oh, wait. Can you hear something? There's a sound coming from beneath the waves. It kind of sounds like singing. Maybe it's a mermaid. Oh no, wait, look. There's something coming from beneath the surface. Is it a whale? No, it can't be that. What is it? Whatever it is, it's beeping. Does anyone know what it is? You write in the chat what you think it is. It is. Well done. It's a submarine. Well done. You really do know your stuff. What's that? There's a man on board, isn't there? Well, he's called John Philip Holland, and he's singing. Did you know that he was the inventor of the first Navy submarine? Now that we hear the words more clearly, it seems like he's giving us a test. He won't let us pass until we answer, so listen closely. I'm a submarine and I sail under the waters of the sea. Look into the distance and tell me what you can see. So the submarine is asking us what we can see around us. If we can tell it, it will let us pass. So what can you see around you? I want you to tell me 3 things that you can see. I'm listening. Oh, wow, you have so many different things around you. Someone said that they have a lamp. Someone said that they have a blackboard. And someone said that there's a plant. Wow, that's brilliant. We've got everything that John Philip Holland wants. He's happy to let us pass. Phew, that was close. Bye, submarine. Bye, John Philip Holland. Bye. Now we can go on the next part of our adventure. And there you go, that's the end of that little excerpt of Tiny Tots right there. So it just gives you an example of the different sorts of activities we do with Tiny Tots. We do try to hit all the different sensory activities. So we try to have something to do with sight, something to do with sound, as much as we possibly can in the environment that we're in. And we also try to have things to do with colors, maths. So we usually have an activity that has counting involved, something to do with singing and or music. Sounds of the sea is an example from that one that we do. We also look at sea creatures, and we answer riddles as well and different things like that. We always try to finish with something really, really lovely as well. Like with the pirate one, we finished with finding the treasure, but I explain that treasure is different to everyone and that they draw whatever they hold most dearly to them. So we get some lovely answers to that as well. So that gives you an example of the Tiny Tots. Now I'm going to show you a little bit about the Immigrant Suitcase Workshop. So this is a workshop that we would have mostly done in person beforehand. And you can see there on your screen an example of some of the things that we use. So we use workbooks. So you would get one of these, which is our passport. Character passport is what we call it, and it has little bios in it of the different characters that we look at during the workshop. As you can see, they're bite-sized, they're very easy to read. We also then will have a handout for each of the different age groups. So we've got primary, we have secondary schools, junior cycle, and we have secondary schools, senior cycle. You can see examples of that on your screen there. I've also got a picture on there of what the setup would have looked like previously to doing it virtually. So you see, we actually have physical suitcases. I've got one of them beside me here. And in the suitcases, we have the objects to do with the different characters. And this workshop is actually particularly good if you're looking at something very curriculum related, like the famine, like World War II, or even different things like women's history. We cover a lot in this as well. So just try, what you can do then is you can discuss with us what you're studying in class, and we can help you choose characters that are related to those issues. And that's one of the fantastic things about being able to use workshops virtually as well. We are not restricted by the time of year anymore. If you are doing something very curriculum related and you think that we can help you out with that, we're more than happy to do that. And I give you an example of the different, so what will happen, the setup will be similar to this in the virtual workshop. You'll be able to see a little bit more of the suitcase behind me. And we'll start the workshop by getting the students to read out the character bios of the 3 characters that we're going to look at during the workshop. So that's where the students' names come in handy. I can ask particular students to read. And once we've read the bios, what we do is we go about solving the characters together. In the first page of the handouts, there's a page that asks the students what objects they have, whose suitcase they have, and sketch out an object that they find most relevant to the immigrant story and why they chose that object. Because we're doing this all together rather than individually in groups, it changes just slightly. So what I tell the students to do instead is to choose their favorite character as we're going through and to write out their character's object and their favorite object to do with that character and why they chose it instead of doing it for each of the characters. Then what happens is I go into my suitcase and I start bringing out the objects. So for instance, we have things like Anne Bonny's pirate hat. We have Spitfire Patty's aviation hat. We have a Spitfire. We have as well a medal for Spitfire Patty. We have Bram Stoker. We have a cape. We have a book for Thomas Quinn. So it's all to do with the famine and he became a priest. We have some rosary beads. We have a compass. We have various things. We have stamps here from the Battle of Britain. And we go through all these objects together. And then from the collection of objects, they figure out which 3 characters we have. After that then, we work through the workbooks to do with the particular characters that we're looking at for that day. And we're going to look at Spitfire Paddy today. So I'm just going to give you an example of all the different activities at the different ages. So starting with primary, what we usually start to do is we'll do the trivia related questions first. And they should be able to get all this information from the bios that we have just read out. So the questions, for example, in the primary workbook are, what was Spitfire Paddy's real name? Which is Brendan Finucane. In which war was Spitfire Paddy involved? World War II. Which British Prime Minister was a huge fan of Spitfire Paddy? Winston Churchill. And Spitfire Paddy was the youngest ever individual to become a wing commander. How old was he when he received this title? So I would pick on certain students from the list that you've given me to answer these questions, or students can put up their hands as well. And depending on what we've agreed with the teacher in advance, either the teacher can manage this or I can manage this. We're very flexible in terms of doing the best that we can to give you the experience that you want. So that gives you an example of the trivia. Another really nice activity in the primary book as well is History Detective, and we usually go into this. If you didn't know when Spitfire Paddy was alive, how would you be able to figure it out from the objects in the suitcase? So this is getting them thinking about their sort of primary evidence and which of the objects might be able to give a clue. So like the Battle of Britain stamps would have the date on it, Battle of Britain. That's a pretty big clue as to when that took place. Then just to give you an example of the junior cycle questions. So for Spitfire Paddy, we have a really lovely creativity task. So that's what I usually move on to next. So we've got like creativity, we've got drama, we've got geography, and debate and discuss as well. So debate and discuss is very similar to the trivia tasks for the primary school. But the creativity task here is really lovely, and it's basically asking, it says Spitfire Paddy won many aerial victories and was treated like an A-list celebrity during his lifetime. He even featured in Time magazine, amongst other prominent newspapers and magazines of the time. Design a modern magazine cover featuring Spitfire Paddy, taking into consideration the use of social media imagery, etc. So what I usually do there is go into a conversation about propaganda, and I'd have some examples as well, and I discuss what do you think is important to feature on an advertisement like that, or feature in a magazine during World War II. And then they would design their own modern day advertisement, taking all of this into account. And that's really lovely, because it really shows you, really gives them a chance to engage with history in a creative way. Next, let's look at, so I'm just going to show you here, then this is the senior cycle, and you can see the format's just a little bit different than before. And here we have a really lovely debate and discuss question, which is all about conscription. And this is a really good way to make history, to relate history to the students' lives and ask them what they would do and what did they think of conscription. Would they mind being conscripted? And we go through, does anyone know what conscription is? We define it, and we say during World War II, strict conscription laws were put in place and enforced on males between the ages of 18 and 41. What is conscription, and is it necessary? So that just gives you an insight into the Suitcase Workshops and all the different topics that we cover. So we have very similar things for the famine, for women's history. So a lot about gender roles and looking at the roles of women in the past compared to the roles of women now, and asking students what has changed, what has not changed, what should be changed in the future. So we always try to relate it really as much as possible back to the students' lives, so that they feel like they can have input and they can change and they can help society as well. Social advocacy is a really big part of what we do here at EPIC. So I hope that you enjoyed that little insight, and of course we're happy to answer any questions that you have. So if you just want to write the questions in the chat, and we will of course answer them. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining. As say, if you have any questions, feel free to pop it into our chat feature, or if you kind of have no questions right now or want any more information, you can give us an email. So I'll pop the email address into the chat feature. It's groups@epicchq.com, and from there, myself or Shannon will be able to answer any questions you have, any information you need on any of the new programs that we're launching here at Epic. All of the programs are on our website at the moment, so if you need any more information, you can look there as well, as I say. But if you have any questions, you can let us know.
Thank you everyone as well for your feedback and for your thanks. It's really great for us to be able to do this. We know ourselves, we attend these sessions sometimes and we come out more confused than when we went in. So we hope that everything was really clear for you. And yeah, we're more than happy to answer any questions at any time. You can contact us, groups@epicchq.com. And if there's a particular question in relation to content that you want to know more about, you can address the email to me and it will find its way to me.
Perfect. I think that's everything.
Oh, we've got one question, I think.
Have we got a question? Yes, go ahead. We're just waiting on a question there from everyone. Mm-hmm. But I hope it's giving everyone a little bit of thought of going back into the new school year, some ideas to help them along. I know it can be very difficult going into school year now, not really knowing what kind of situation it's going to be, and we still don't know lockdown and everything like that. So it's just our little way of helping out.
Will it be Zoom? Yes, it will be Zoom that we're operating on currently.
For these programs, these are all designed that Epic will be teaching most of these programs. So if you're interested in, say, the workshops, the webinars, or any of those, they will all be led by Epic staff. If you're looking for just, say, the virtual tour, which is the virtual tour and the worksheets, they can be done by yourself in the classroom. There's no problem. All of that information for you is on the website. You can just literally download it. The same with the history and home packs. If you plan to use them in the classroom, the teacher can take those packs, which are available on the website, and just download them and use them how they see fit. As we mentioned earlier, we will do some training sessions in the coming weeks to teach you how to use them in the classroom, but it's really up to yourself how you want to use them. But when it comes to the workshops, webinars, and different programs, they will all be led by an Epic staff member.
And we do expect that we will have a mix of different formats. Just leading on from that question about Zoom, we expect that we will see students in the classroom on one Zoom account, which is why we were discussing, having students' names in advance, just the first name, just in order for us to be able to engage with them, because the interaction is just so important, we found from ourselves doing it. As well, we expect there'll probably be instances where students will be logging in remotely, because we all know, there'll probably be local lockdowns over the course of the next 6 months or so. So we do expect there'll be a mixture. We will adapt depending on which way it's going to come through. So we will try our best to help you out as much as we can.
And we've just got another question about the virtual tour. Our virtual tour, it goes to the 20 interactive galleries here in Epic. So there are 20 galleries that students can visit, and there are different questions, different activities for each section. So really, we definitely recommend a group of students to have at least an hour of time if they're going to do all 20 sections. Now, the way our virtual tour is designed on the website, it has 2 sections. So we kind of have broken it down in its galleries 1 to 10 and then 11 to 20. So if you find on one particular day you just want to do maybe a half an hour, you could do the first section and then say to students, we'll go back and we'll do it maybe next week and do the other section. So you can split it up, but if you were to do it all together, we'd recommend maybe about an hour to do the
virtual tour. And that's something as well with the virtual tour that I go into sort of in the how-to document with the teachers. This goes through how you can sort of tailor the virtual tour specific to your needs, because not everyone is going to want to do the whole tour, and that you may be looking at a particular part of history, you may want to look at a particular theme. Our galleries are designed in themes. So the first vault, we call it, which is made up of about 7 galleries, goes through the sort of social history of Ireland, but then it very much changes into the influence of the Irish abroad. So you're looking at these fantastic figures from all around the world who are experts in particular fields. So we've got sport, we've got science, we've got music, we've got art, etc. We've got loads of different themes. And that way, if your class is looking at something, if you're a particular teacher of a particular subject, you can just look at that particular vault and you can do the activities for that vault. So it is very flexible in terms of being able to be adapted for your particular needs.
I think that is all the questions. So I'd just like to close by saying thank you everyone for joining our first ever virtual training session. As I say, if you need to contact us at all, just give us an email, and hopefully you'll be able to join some of our future sessions as well. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll sign off now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.